Should I do a little burnout right here? Oh, there goes my phone. Don't worry about that. Oh my God. Just wanted to make that light, that's all. Driving something like this is really a treat. These cars, especially this one, are built to the max and built to drive. So the number one thing about these cars is they have to drive as good as they look. So that's why I take you guys on the ride-alongs, so you can get a better feel of what it's like to be behind the wheel, because ideally that's where you're going to spend most of the time. I get to spend a lot of the time under the car, under the dash, under the hood, and I don't get to spend as much time as I like behind the wheel, but I do like that you guys get to come along with me when I do get behind the wheel. Right off the bat, clutch feels pretty good in this car. It's not super heavy. It's a hydraulic clutch, but it feels good on the engagement. This is something you can get in, and the first couple times you drive it, you'll get used to it. And that's kind of rare at this power level, but it's a nicely set up clutch. So signal on for courtesy. Looks like this thing's all warmed up now. We let it idle for a little bit in the garage. You can monitor everything on the odometer. You can customize this gauge layout, which we might change because some of the readouts are a little small, but you can change that and make it a little bit easier to read if you prefer just seeing an actual number. If you're familiar with like the actual number of the oil pressure you want, the air-fuel ratio, coolant temp. If you know that number in your head, sometimes it's a little better to see the number instead of the needle. Oh my God. All right. This thing will wag the tail a little bit just grabbing second gear, and that's like 3/4 throttle. The reason this thing is such an animal, it's a Wegner 427 LS. That is a no joke when it comes to horsepower. Left me speechless for a second there. You got to hold on and upshift in this car. But that'll get the tires warmed up a little. The car is no joke, I'm telling you. That was like a quick second gear, just get it up to the speed limit, and it was wild. You can downshift this car pretty good, blip the throttle. The pedal relation between the brake and the accelerator pedal is really good. You can just roll in, downshift, rev match downshift, no problem. On-ramp is downright boring at legal speeds because this car is on some really sticky Toyo R888Rs, really good tire, sticky compound, good street tire. It's perfect for the weight of this car, and they're huge. So this car has huge rear tires, 18 by 12 inch wheels in the back, and then not as wide of a front tire, but it feels very balanced. The front tires feel like they grip. I've never felt it feel like it's gonna lose traction in the front. So I think we're in third gear here on the freeway. Fourth gear, it's easy to shift this car. We're at 3,000 RPM, 65 miles an hour. It doesn't feel like you're lugging this car at all. Fifth gear, now it drops the RPMs down to like 2,200 in fifth gear. Once again, going like 65 miles an hour. So this thing will cruise down the freeway. It will keep up with traffic. It'll go around traffic in any gear. So let's talk about the power plant. The Wegner 427 is a awesome power plant. This is supercharged with a Whipple. And the way a supercharged car comes in with the boost and the power, it definitely usually feels more violent than a turbo car because it's not spooling it up. It's turning that supercharger pretty much right off idle. So I would not be surprised if this car is making a ton of torque at low RPM. And what that does is when you initially roll into the throttle, it doesn't matter what RPM you are. You don't have to be wound out with the turbo spooled up. The supercharger will just start making boost right away. It'll start hitting. We have a boost gauge here that you can kind of monitor that. When I'm getting into the RPMs and it's making boost, I really haven't had a lot of extra energy and focus to look at that gauge to see what we're making. But maybe we can keep an eye on it when we do a little spirited pull in this thing to see, you know, what kind of boost feels scary in this car. But car gets up to some wild speeds and it does it fast. And it's got a 6-speed TMI Magnum transmission, which is kind of the go-to in a performance vehicle. Drop it into 6 and it lowers the RPMs even more. But now we're keeping up with traffic. Traffic here, just flow of traffic, is usually about 80 miles an hour. And we're right there at 2200 RPM. So coolant temperature is completely stable. I think we're down in the like 170 range with the electric fans. Battery voltage, we're right at 14, which is ideal. We got about a half a tank of gas. Oil pressure at this low RPM is about 40 PSI. Exactly what you want to see. So we're dialed. We're set to go for a nice cruise. And you get a lot of eyeballs in this car. It's one of those cars that hard to ignore on the freeway, just in normal traffic. The size of this car too, that's one thing with the first gens that everyone talks about. The Camaro, the size of the car is a lot tighter feeling. Your spatial awareness of where you are in the lane, it's a little more comfortable than a big car, a little sportier feeling. The steering feel in this car, so all the suspension and the steering, all the geometry is from Chris Esparza Chassis Works. They have it dialed. They've been doing it for a long time. They know how to set up a pro touring car. Smithy's Customs is the ones that originally built this car. They put it all together. Shout out to Justin, the owner there. He's been in touch with us because he had a blast building this car, and he's just stoked that we're having a blast driving it. But he has a special formula for setting up the coilovers. These are Chris Esparza Verishock coilovers. Also a Chris Esparza 4-link in the back. He has set up a few first-gen Camaros with this, and he knows what he's doing, because we got in this car. A lot of times I end up doing a lot of shock tuning, adjustments. Every once in a while I'll change a spring rate. No need for any of that in this car. It is dialed. So 5th gear. Just rolling into it. Oh Lord. This thing just takes off. That's just 5th gear rolling into it. So this thing probably would pull a lot harder in 4th gear, but I'm on a public road. I just want to stay with the flow of traffic as much as I can. This thing is so tempting to just push and beat on and lean on. This car, it just asks for more. It's like, hey, why don't you make me do something really fun? And we went and shot at Autotopia, and it's more of like a closed course situation there, where we could lean on it a little bit. There's not like, cars around us. There's not pedestrians around us or anything like that. So I was able to push on this car a little more than I will in this video, because we're just in San Diego here. We're not out in some backcountry road. But I will tell you, the car surprised me how much you can just keep leaning on it. At this power level, a car starts to get sketchy when you're leaning on that throttle pedal. Sometimes they don't hook up. Sometimes at the top of the gear, when they're making boosts and stuff, they get a little squirrely. This car will do that, but it will also just hook and book. So it did that out there. Power level on this car. This Wegner 427, dynoed at Wegner, over 1,000 horsepower. That is an interesting number nowadays, because the internet will have you think that if you have any type of boost on an LS engine, you should be making 1,000 horsepower. That's not always true. It's got to be really built to handle that reliably, so that you feel comfortable leaning on it. And the Wegner engine is built for that. It made that on a dyno, and the original owner of this car asked that it be detuned a little, because it's almost not necessary on the street. I think this was his first venture into a car with that power level with no traction control, and I think he wanted to work his way up, which is a smart call. Not knocking that guy at all for asking it to be detuned a little. But what does detuned mean? 850 to the wheels, which is wild to me. A detuned car making 850 horsepower to the wheels, that means it's still almost 1,000 at the crank. So then this car went up for sale, and it sat for a little while, and we had the seller take it and get it tuned again, just to make sure everything was dialed in before we received the car. And we get 91 here. I think this thing made 850 to the wheels on 93. but on 91, on a safe tune, it made 750 to the wheels. So that is still a monstrous horsepower number. That is plenty of fun in a car like this. So that's probably the tune it's making now. We did put a bunch of 108 race fuel in this, and it was much happier. It felt fast as hell. I mean, like, I can't even imagine this thing on kill mode with over 1,000 to it. If you live in a state that has 93, you're getting a big thumbs up from AMG G-Wagon. So people of culture, we meet again. It's got the coilovers, the 4-link. Everything is really dialed where it feels confidence inspiring. And you can also get in and just drive this car like I am. You don't have to go wild on that skinny pedal, the gas pedal. You can get in and cruise this car, and it feels like you're driving a 500 horsepower car when you're just driving around. So, but yeah, you want to get in front of somebody to get in the lane, just breathe on that gas pedal and you're there. The turn signals, the lights, they're all LED. It's really cool. This has like a little mini sequential turn signal down under the bumper that Junior installed at the shop. And then it's got really cool Eddie Motorsports sequential tail lights, LED tail lights. So just modern lighting. It really kind of gives you a hint at what's going on with this car. You get a lot of looks in this car. These guys are Googling this thing. And this car sounds so good. I love the exhaust on this. Long tube headers. Full exhaust with pipes, mufflers. This thing just sounds really, really good. You can hear the blower. Like you can hear this that whipple on this thing. It's just got an amazing sound to it, and it absolutely rips when you start getting onto the throttle pedal. It's just like, hold on. There's probably gonna be times when I rip it and I'm not even gonna know what to say. I'm gonna forget what I was saying, so bear with me if that happens. It's just what that kind of power level does. It requires all your attention, all your focus, manually shifting the car. Your body goes into survival mode, so the chit chat kind of stops when you're when you're doing that. Real nice interior though, so a lot of TMI leather everywhere, the console, the door panels, the dash pad. It's got a suede headliner or Alcantara, and then the Recaros with the houndstooth. So really nice German leather, houndstooth inserts keep you nice and cool. This car has AC, stereo, a lot of creature comforts, power steering, power brakes. This car has a Hydro Boost for the brakes. Oh, there goes my phone. Don't worry about that. Sometimes you just safely want to get away from the semi so that they have their space. They need a little more space in the road, so I'll just get out of their way. I think that's the safe thing to do. I find myself going on a longer route than I usually do in these drive-along videos, but that's because this car just begs to be driven, and it drives so good. It's just dialed. I mean, it's just smooth as butter. Alignment's perfect. The steering wheel feels great. It's responsive. Just a little bit of input, and it's doing exactly what you want it to do. Another honk from the Amazon guy. This might be the record of how many thumbs up and hang looses I've gotten in a car. So, is that a San Diego thing where people give you a lot of the hang loose? Or do you guys get that in nice cars in other parts of the country? Let me know. Sometimes I'm unaware of where we are and how things work here, but super smooth, compliant ride. It's still comfortable, but you know the limit is much higher of where this car's performance capabilities go. Higher than I could do. I'm not a professional driver. We're not on a track, but this is like the perfect car. If you live in a place where you're doing track days sometimes, like maybe autocross, or even like if you have a nice track, this car will eat it up. I mean, this car will hit the straights at well over triple-digit speeds with the power level it has. It's got really good brakes that are not going to fade when you're really beating on the brakes like you would in a track day. And then on top of it all, it's got sticky tires and good suspension. So this car can really do it all. It's set up to be a street car, but it has a cage which really helps stiffen the chassis and gives you a nice mount for your harnesses, and it's also just a safety feature. So this car doesn't have airbags, it doesn't have anti-lock brakes, it doesn't have all these modern things, nannies I call them, that cars have, basically to protect you from you know, going past your own limits. You got to be aware, you got to be respectful of the car when you're driving it, and work your way up in a safe way to where the limits of a car like this are. This car can do a lot, but depending on your skill level, most likely this car can do more than you're comfortable with, which is kind of nice. I do like when you have equipment that's overbuilt for the job you're trying to do with it, because now you're not running your equipment at the ragged edge of what it's capable of. You're basically just using it in a way that it wants to be used. If you want to catch up to traffic, fourth gear, it does it, and now I'm slowing back down because this thing just rolls onto the power like a freight train. It pushes you back. It's another one of those cars, if you really want to start like accelerating hard in this car, make sure you're pointed straight. I've gotten on the brakes on this car and accelerated with just gradual turns, and it's very planted. So if you know what you're doing and you don't have jerky inputs, it'll be perfect. Another thumbs up. The people love it. You got to give them what they want. I think they want to hear the 427 sing its song, so you got to let them have it. Man, this has been so fun already. I can't remember a time I've smiled this much, and I think a lot of it is the interactions with people. You know, we haven't been driving for too long, and I'm like really interacting with people from the driver's seat. I haven't even gone to the gas station, got out of the car. That's something we talk about internally. That's one of our measures of like how cool a car is like how does the public react to this car when you're out and about in it. Some things get lost when you have a cool car in a shop with a ton of other cool cars. Things can get lost on you of how cool an individual car is, how much it stands out on its own, because you're seeing it in our shop where we're always trying to up the ante, we're always trying to have all the coolest shit and have the coolest cars, so it's in there with them. So day in, day out, I come in, I see them all. I don't take it for granted, but I forget like how absolutely bitchin' something like this is. So it's really cool to take it out, get the feedback, and that's a big part of the driving experience that ultimately the winner is going to get to experience. So me going out, driving it, telling you guys about it is a cool feature of the car that you don't get when we're just shooting videos in-house. You only get that from bringing the car out and putting it out here in traffic and seeing the reactions of people. One of the reasons I like the 6-speed is because the gears are closer together. So you keep the car in the power band a little bit better. I really love the new TKX 5-speed, but what ends up happening is you get a little bit more of an RPM drop in between shifts because the gears are just spaced out a little further. You can get a close ratio 5-speed from Tremec, the TKX. That one does a little bit better. It doesn't matter as much in a supercharged car because it makes so much power throughout the RPM range. Where I have noticed it is in a naturally aspirated car where you're making a lot of power real high up in the RPM range. When you're really like spirited performance driving, you want to keep the car up in that RPM range, and it's a little more work to do with a 5-speed because there's a little bit bigger of a difference between the gears. So the 6-speed helps with that. You're shifting more often, but the car is in that sweet spot a little more often, and it's just like accentuated when you have the blower because the car has a big sweet spot. I mean, it's making probably 500 foot-pounds of torque, which is like plenty to get the car moving and feel that like kind of neck snap activity. It's probably making that at 2,300 RPM. So right when you're rolling into it, it's in the torque, and then the horsepower comes on, and you better hang on because you're just along for the ride. You're just smiling ear to ear. There's something it does to you when you're like working for that speed. I've been in a Tesla that accelerates hard, but you're not working for that speed. You don't have the sounds, the smells. You're not worried about if it has traction. So it takes away a little bit of the excitement. It's kind of odd. Some of the things that are the most exciting are the things that put your body into fight or flight mode, and that just spikes all your adrenaline and everything. This car does it. There's just something visceral. I don't know how else to put it, but something visceral about this car, and then just the refinement of like the car being able to handle the power. So the chassis being all subframe connector reinforced, the suspension geometry on the coilovers, the AA arm front end, the 4-link rear end. It helps the car feel planted even when you're under load, even when you're under power. It's helping the rear end put the power down to the tires. It's helping it hook up. The big tires in the back, 335s, hook up. I mean, you got to get them warm sometimes, but they hook up. So that's a big difference. You know, when you get into quadruple digit power, everything around it has to be built to make you feel like you can use it. Being locked into the seats, a harness, the Recaros that hug your torso. So like when you are going through a turn or anything, you don't feel like you're bracing your body while you're trying to do all this. You're just sitting in it, focused on inputs. You're not focused on holding yourself in a seat. That's something that gets really sketchy. I've been in a lot of cars that can out-handle the seat, and then you're like shoving your knee against the door, trying to get held in. You might start doing things like holding onto the steering wheel, and then your inputs are not as safe, not as intuitive. So it's an important thing. The seating position. I love where the eye level is on this car. I love where the shifter is in relation to the steering wheel. I love the distance of the steering wheel to the dash, so you're not banging your knuckles on it. There's just a lot I like about the ergonomics. If you guys watch the Autotopia video, that's something that we focus on when we get a car, because we want the ultimate winner to be able to fit themselves to the car and be comfortable while they're working themselves up to understanding this power. So that's something we focus on a lot, something that Sean noticed right away when he got in the car, and something that just makes the driving more enjoyable. So the ideal driving position, you don't want your arms locked out, you don't want the wheel up in your chest, you want your elbows kind of bent where you can comfortably put your hands at kind of either 10 and 2 or 9 and 3, wherever you're comfortable with. And then you can also basically, if your knees are bent, they got to be bent in this little pocket between the wheel and the dash. You don't want your knees hitting the wheel, because when you're heel toeing, a lot of times you want to move your knee a lot, and you got to have the room here to do it. So as you can see, we have that here. A lot of things that you got to think about, so that when you get in and drive this car, your inputs are fluid. They're not interrupted by stuff being in the way. Fifth gear, we're starting to go up the hill a little bit. Sixth gear doesn't really lug the car, but definitely accelerates harder in fifth because you're, you know, closer to 3,000 RPM, which still not a lot of RPM. This thing revs out to 7,500 no problem. So the fact that you can be accelerating harder than most cars and you're only at 3,000 RPM says a lot about how this engine makes power. So a big thing about these is like talking about the car's creature comforts and the drivability. So when you're not performance driving, if you're just taking this car out for a weekend, taking it out to dinner, taking it out to a show, whatever you're doing, this car has power windows, it has power locks, it has AC, it has Bluetooth stereo, has an electronic parking brake, all the LED lighting. It just checks all those boxes that we come to expect now. So, you know, I do need to touch on those things because I forget about it, especially a car like this where I'm just engaged in driving. I don't care about the stereo. It does have a subwoofer, really good speakers. It's got a good sound system, but this V8 soundtrack with a Whipple and Kook's long tube headers and a 427, that's the only audio that I need. So I'm happy with that, but it does have a stereo. So the car is all sound like insulated. It has kill mat, I believe, which is like a a sound insulation material throughout the whole underside of the car. We replaced all the carpet front to back in the car, and we noticed it was well insulated when we did that, so we didn't have to go in and put any more sound deadener in. It's already fully sound deadened, and that keeps the heat down in here. Same thing on the roof. You know, in a sunny day, a black car, you can start feeling heat radiate off the roof. You can't feel it at all in this car because of the insulation of the headliner. So that's an added touch that some cars don't have. A lot of things to touch on like that I forget about. One of my favorite things right here, the vent window. So you get this quarter window. If you angle it towards you, it's just blowing cool air right on you. I have the window down and I'm completely comfortable. It's about 80 degrees out, but you know, we're right by the ocean, so any breeze that you get on you is a lot cooler than 80 degrees. So one window down, I'm super comfortable. The roll bar is in a good position. So when you get a roll cage on the street, you don't want it intrusive anywhere in your head area, because if you, heaven forbid, you're ever in an accident and you're flopping around a little bit, you never want your bare skull to hit a solid steel roll cage. That's not what you want. A lot of roll cages in race cars are designed to be useful when you're on the track and you have a helmet on. So this roll cage is in a good spot where your head's not anywhere close to it. And it's also padded. It's got these nice leather covers that they made for it. So it's very, very street-oriented roll cage. Because of that, we have a rear seat delete in this car. In theory, there's nothing stopping you from cutting down a factory seat and putting it back in this car. But it's kind of a jungle gym to get back there between the harnesses and the cage and everything. So it's nicer to have the rear seat just out of the picture, so you have more room if you want to throw a backpack or a duffel bag in there. This car has a fully carpeted and upholstered trunk as well, so you can put stuff in the trunk, you can put stuff in the rear seat. We're slowing down to a 35-mile-an-hour on-ramp, and we have like trucks and normal cars in front of us that have to take this slower. This car is like exciting to push on an on-ramp. The handling is like point and shoot on this car. So exactly where you want to go with it, it's going to go there. This guy's stoked on the car. He's head bobbing. Alright, so here's something we don't always do, is get stuck in a little bit of stop and go traffic. So I think there's some construction coming up that I didn't know about. So let's see how the manners of this car are in some stop and go. How livable is it to have 1,000 horsepower capable stick shift muscle car in stop and go traffic? So in theory, like if you lived in LA or you live in a big city where it's unavoidable in the middle of the summer, are you going to be okay in this thing? Let's find out. So far so good. Temps are staying really cool. This thing has dual electric fans that help cool everything down. We put a little bit of it's called water wetter in the cooling system. It just helps bring the boiling temperature down a little bit. It helps. Let's go around here. This thing seems to be moving a little bit. This thing shifts real smoothly. Just that first and second gear is comfortable. Even like if you're not in traffic, if you're going through town, that's basically where you're gonna live, in first and second gear. So yeah, the gauges kind of alert you when this thing starts creeping up to 220, which is really not crazy for a supercharged LS engine. LS engines are pretty happy at 220 still. You're not damaging the engine. But right now this thing's still under 200. So this part might be boring to watch, but I think it's kind of important. I usually intentionally stay out of traffic. This time I got caught in it. There's nothing I can do about it. But it tells more of the story because, you know, I can just go out and rip on this car like I did at Autotopia LA, if you want to watch that video. And you can get a feeling of like the excitement of it. But the whole story is like, this car is also very drivable. So that part's not exciting to talk about, but it's important for the ultimate winner of this car to know that they're getting something that's not just this wild, untamable race car, you know. It's still a street car. It just has quadruple digit horsepower. So it's really a best of both worlds. And that's the whole thing behind a RestoMod. This car leans more into the pro touring side of things, which is a car that gets used a little more for performance driving than it does get for like just regular street driving. But being a RestoMod, it does retain all those creature comforts that you get in regular street driving. And that's why we're able to do this. That's why we're able to consider this car a RestoMod. It is restored from the outside. This car looks very recognizable as a first-gen Camaro. Nothing like groundbreaking on the outside, mostly because black first-gen Camaro to me is groundbreaking. If you look at it around all these other egg-shaped cars that we have today, this thing is just beautiful. So to me, you don't really need to change that. How can you improve upon something that in my mind is so perfect? So chrome handles, stock bumpers, chrome, some upgrades to LED lighting. The tint makes the car look a little more aggressive, but in reality, the profile, the silhouette of this car, the stance, it's a Gen 1 Camaro that sits nasty, tucking 18-inch wheels with big tires, and then the sound of it, if you're around this car, the sound of this car lets you know this thing's ready to rock and roll anytime you want. This thing just shits and gets, man. I love how this thing sounds. Just a quick little on it, just... Even the car kind of squats down in the rear, but not too much. It's not getting out of shape. It's just getting ready to bite. Love how this car does whatever you want, just point and shoot. It's like if you look at a place you want the car to be, you do what you should be doing. It's like a video game. You just mash on the gas, point the car there, be respectful of it, and it's just right there. It's right where you were looking. You got to look ahead when you drive this car, where you want to be, not where you're at. The brakes are great on this car. So the Hydro Boost, I had to train myself a little bit when driving this car, because a lot of the cars we do are manual brakes, and with those, you know, output is proportionate to input on a manual brake car. You want it to stop harder, you step on it harder. This one's linear in the sense that like you don't have to slam on it because it's gonna like probably lock them up. The Hydro Boost has so much assist that you can be gentle on the brake pedal and it's going to stop really hard. So I just had to kind of train myself for that. You don't have to have gigantic legs to get this car to stop on a dime. The Supercharger sounds. I love it. I'm telling you guys, I get so engaged with like operating this thing as a machine that I just forget what I'm doing. I just go to a happy place behind the wheel of this car. I want to give myself some space because I'm about to get on an on-ramp, like a transition ramp. That's like a pretty tight, sweeping right-hander. And I just want to feel the grip of this car through that. So usually if I'm like too close to the car in front of me, I don't even get to like push the car at all. It's a 30 mile an hour, pretty hard right, kind of slight bank right. So I think I'm in fifth still, so that I can roll on the gas. And it's just hugging. I'm talking to you guys, light on the throttle, hard after the apex. And here we are. That was a 30 mile an hour on-ramp. You almost don't even have to slow down for it. And I don't want to endanger anyone around me. The car is absolute monster, but we don't need to explore its absolute limit out here on a public road. That'll be for the winter to do. Screw it, one last second gear rip. Oh my God. Just wanted to make that light, that's all. They do a little burnout right here. Okay, how do you get a better day than going out and ripping this thing? It's an absolute monster, but it drives really well. I got stuck in traffic. We got to get after it with some spirited driving, and I hopefully portrayed what it's like to live with something like this, and hopefully got you guys excited to be behind the wheel of something like this. I know I'm excited. I want this car. I want one of my own. But I can't have this one. That's for you guys. This is RM31. So if you want to get entered to win, make sure you hit RestoMods.com. You could be driving this 67 Camaro plus winning $50,000 in cash. So make sure you get your entries to win. And as always, keep having fun with us.